Hey everyone, Joey here, aka Animus, and today it's my second tier list Tuesday, and I've brought Josh in so we can both talk about his favourite band, Arctic Monkeys. And what we're gonna do this time is do a tier list each of all of their albums. So Josh, tell us a bit about why you love Arctic Monkeys so much.
Because they're a good band, number one, and I like their music.
Okay, I guess that's about it. That's, pretty self-explanatory words from Josh. Like I said, we are going to be doing a tier list each. I'm going to have my one on the left, Josh is going to have his one on the right. This is made by someone else, this tier list, so it's for some reason got Who the F are the Arctic Monkeys, which is barely even an EP, so we're not going to be doing that. We're just going to be doing their 6 main studio albums. Just some things to note, this is a tier list of their albums, so if something's in a D tier, that doesn't mean it's a D tier album, it means it's a D tier Arctic Monkeys album. And also, I am not nearly as experienced with their music as Josh is. I've only known them for a little while, listened to their albums like once or twice, so maybe listen to Josh a bit more than you listen to me, but let's get going. Josh, do you want to go first?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's start with their debut album, Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not. I would class it as an S tier since I love their first few albums more than their later albums, so most of the songs are quite good, and it seems like Alex Turner's more energetic in the song.
Very true. Yeah, I agree. Should I go on to me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I basically completely agree with everything you said. It's like banger after banger after banger. It's so consistent, and like you said, definitely the energy. There's so much raw, rough energy to this, and very relatable. Maybe not so much for me, but definitely for a lot of lads. Very relatable record. It's like completely relentless, the speed that it goes at and the riffs and everything. The only break in the pace is Riot Van, which slows things down a bit, but I actually see that as a good thing, that it's got a little halftime interval, but apart from that, it is complete bangers, and it's the thing that started their whole career, started the whole thing off, so yeah, I've got to agree. S tier for me as well.
Next album, Favourite Worst Nightmare. Probably an S tier again. As I said, I like their earlier albums a lot. I think it's a bit different to style than the first album. It's a bit more indie than the first one. It's a bit less rock, but there's also their moments where there is loads of guitar and loads of drums and all of that.
So S tier for you again?
Yeah, S tier.
I love Favourite Worst Nightmare for a lot of similar reasons to why I love Whatever People Say I Am, That's What I'm Not, because it's again very fast-paced, consistent. There's like really never a dull moment in the record. Maybe not, I wouldn't quite put it on the same level as their debut, but it has some, it's basically just as good. And it has some massive highs, like Fluorescent Adolescent, and also 505 is, I think, the best closer on any Arctic Monkeys record. They're still going strong, and I think I'm going to put this in the A tier. Not quite S for me, but yeah, still a great album.
Next album, Humbug. I think it was a bit more on the rock side. It was a bit more hard rock. Alex Turner had a really weird filter on his voice during the whole album.
Start using that really quick delay thing where like his voice repeats. Anyway, carry on.
Favourite songs in it are... Oh, let me think. I'm not the greatest at remembering songs. Pretty Visitors, Crying Lightning, and... What was the other one? I'll put that in A tier.
Okay, A tier for Josh. I think Humbug is it's a bit of a change in style, actually, because the first two albums were fairly similar. This is a bit darker and moodier. I think it's a bit of a step down because it's not quite as consistent. There's some moments where, well, the first two albums were so consistently like captivating. This, I think Humbug has a couple of moments that don't keep you quite as hooked on it, but I appreciate that they were trying something a little bit different, and but there are just a few little problems I have with it. There's some oddly sloppy mixing, some bit much treble at some points. It's got its moments. It's just not quite as consistently awesome as the first two. I think I'm gonna put it in the C tier. It might seem a bit harsh, but there's some other stuff that there's you'll see later on why I put it down that low. It's not one of their better albums in my opinion.
Next album, Suck It and See. I don't think it was that good of an album, really. It was a bit too slow for me, and it was just a whole different style to what I was used to. I think I'd put that in the C tier.
Yeah. Like, I think I forgot to say on Humbug as well that they did sort of quite slow down the pace. The first two albums were really fast in terms of tempo, and could be a good thing. It didn't work. I think that kind of carries on Suck It and See. I can't really remember all that much from this record because that's one of the ones I've only listened to once. I just remember it being really inconsistent because it did have some bangers on it. Brick by Brick is awesome. And I think there was another one, it was the Hellcat Spangled Shalalala. Was a pretty good one as well. And
I think it is, I'm not sure.
Library Pictures I did like as well. And there's a bit more variety on this one. There's some odd kind of slightly post-rocky shoegazy stuff. Forgive me if I got that completely wrong, just with some of the guitar tones and drumming. There are some interesting moments. There's some high points, but also some of the lowest lows in their entire career. The energy has kind of gone right down on this one, like compared to their first two records where they were so like pumped up and energetic. Yeah, Alex Turner kind of sounds like there's a funny feeling of like they're not quite sure what to do with this record and not as full of ideas.
It feels like a bit more of a filler record. Just
the back half of it.
So they can have more time to produce the next album.
The back half of it really slows down in my opinion, and it's not bad, but if anything's going to go in the D tier of Arctic Monkeys records, it's going to be Suck It and See for me. I'd put it at the bottom, personally.
Next album, AM. This was a step up from the last album, and most of their most famous tracks are from this record, like Do I Wanna Know and Are You Mine. I would put it at the B tier because it's not as good as their first two albums, but it's still quite a good album.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a step up from Suck It and See. There's more, it's more consistent again, and I think what they went for here was a bit less rough and raw, a bit more radio friendly, and hook based. Like basically all of these tracks have a killer hook at some point, which I do really like. Like I said, more the kind of thing you'd hear on the radio. I'm not suggesting that they were selling out or that I don't like it for this reason. I just think it was less rockish and a bit more. Yeah, there are some really catchy choruses on this one. I know some people say it's their best record, which I don't agree with. Some people hate it. I don't hate it. I think it's roughly in the middle. I'm going to put it in the B tier. I do get quite a lot of enjoyment from this one, even if it's pretty far from the best thing they've ever made. It's a return to form, in my opinion.
Last album, Tranquility Base. One of my least favourite albums because it's really slow.
One of your least favourite albums of all time?
Arctic Monkeys albums.
Okay, yeah.
I think it is a good album. I just don't like the style of it. It isn't my sort of taste in music. So, in our Arctic Monkeys albums, I would have to put it in D. But it is a good album if you're into a different style of music than I like.
This is where it gets interesting, Josh,
Yes.
because Tranquility Base completely divided people from what I can gather, because, like, they just... I think it made sense to go for something a bit different. That's what they did, because they'd made... Well, they had some progressions, but after some of their records seemed to drag a little bit, they seemed to reuse quite a lot of ideas. And then, this is actually 5 years after AM, which is biggest gap in their whole discography. I think they just decided they wanted to do something completely different and made an atmospheric, slightly ambient lounge pop record with a concept about a hotel on the moon.
Yeah.
Why not? And the thing is, if you were a long-term Arctic Monkeys fan, like Josh, were you already a fan when you heard... when this album came out?
Yeah, about 2016, 17.
Yeah, so if you were a big fan of their really fast-paced rockish, heavier work from earlier on, this would seem like a massive left turn, and for a lot of long-term Arctic Monkeys fans, they were like, what the hell is this? Because it's so completely different. However, sorry, I know I'm going to have to talk for quite a long time here, I'm sorry, but basically to explain my opinion, take everything Josh said, but the complete opposite. Because this is my favourite Arctic Monkeys record. I've told Josh that before. I think what happened with me is I'm a massive fan of more chilled out music that you don't have to pay all that much attention to, and this just really clicked with me more than any of their other records, to be honest. It's by far the most interesting and varied, in my opinion. There's so much instrumental variety. I love how Alex Turner's charisma just translates from relatable lad to dapper gent.
Yes.
It works. It's just, it's really admirable what they did here. The stylistic switch up. I just really love to get lost in the atmosphere of this album, and I'm putting in the S tier. We completely disagree on this one. I think it's the biggest talking point in their entire discography, in my opinion. So that's the end. Are there any changes you want to make, Josh?
I'm unsure. I think I might put Tranquility Base in a C tier, because it is a good album. It's just not my style.
Yeah, I do understand that. I definitely do.
Also move Suck It and See down one tier. Because
so both put it in the D tier now. I don't think I'm going to change any of my choices. Yeah, I think mine in particular is quite subject to change when I listen to these records again. But I pretty strongly stand by this. I know this was a pretty unscripted video. We might have dawdled a bit with what we've been saying, but you know, it's pretty fun to make these videos.
Yeah.
Collaborative ones. Yeah, it's been fun. That was the Arctic Monkeys tier list. Hope you enjoyed. Leave your ranking in the comments section. Please don't get too mad at either of us for our choices. And I don't think either of us really dislike any of their albums.
It's just they've had low points in their career.
Yeah, but some massive highs.
Yeah.
So again, hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching. Animus out.
Josh out.
Goodbye.